and welcome to the Cultivating Calmness Podcast. Today, we're just going to wrap up the year and talk a little bit about Christmas and the holidays. And I'll be back then again next year. So let's just talk a little bit about those holiday celebrations. And if you're someone who is, trying to navigate grief, maybe some trauma, maybe family dynamics, there's always something you can do to try to manage this time of the year. And it doesn't always look perfect. I mean, first of all, let's be honest, nothing is perfect, although we would love for things to be perfect. Nothing is, except God. So if you believe in a higher power like I do, that's the only one who I would believe or know is perfect, and we are not. We always mess up, we make mistakes, and that's okay, and that's normal and expected. So think about that when it comes to you and your families and your friends and get-togethers and what have you, and what that may involve, and try to give them some grace and maybe, yourself some grace for the way you feel and the way maybe things are going down. I know I've got stuff in my family. You've probably got stuff in yours, and it ebbs and flows. Sometimes things go really well. Sometimes things are a little rough. And we just try to navigate the best that we can. And what I tell all my clients when I work with people is, when we're working with trauma and we're working with, really anything that's going on, we're working with the information that we have in the moment. So oftentimes people worry, like, am I making the right decision? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I upset them? What if I set a boundary and then something else happens? And, yeah, that's a possibility. And we can't plan, for future events, unknown future events. The best thing that we can do, and what I often tell people is, the best thing that we can do is to plan for the worst, hope for the best. So some examples of this would be probably things that you do in your everyday life that you have already done, whether you're in a home or an apartment. You probably have smoke detectors. So what do we have those for? Right? We have smoke detectors. Some people have the fire extinguishers. We have an exit plan or an exit strategy. Even if it's not one that you readily talk about, you probably have an idea of what you'll do, where you'll go if there's a fire in your home, right? Well, those are to prepare for the worst while we hope for the best, right? We hope that a fire never happens, but we have those smoke detectors. We have the fire extinguishers and all the other things that we may have to protect us just in case, right? So my animals are wanting to make noises right now. So let me go see if, no, maybe they're dead. I don't know. My cats, I have cats, and they're not allowed where I'm recording. And so sometimes they want to try to get here and they make noise. So not sure if you could hear that or not. But let me jump right back in. Yeah, so we hope that our houses never burn down, but we don't know. So we plan for it. So when I say, or when I recommend to people, like, set a boundary with your family, whatever your boundary is, right? It doesn't have to be some big, huge thing like, I'm not coming, and I never want to speak to you again. That could be something. But it could be, I'm not going to tolerate X, Y, or Z. And if you speak to me that way, then this is what I'm going to do. Because a boundary is really about you, like what you're going to do, how it's affecting your life. I can't make you or anybody else do something. Now, what I choose to do may affect that person, and then they may do what you ultimately want them to do, which is to stop their maybe poor behavior or the thing that they are doing, right? So the follow-up question to that is usually, well, like, if I set a boundary and I say, no, don't do that, what if they say, well, then I don't ever want to speak to you, or then never come to my house again, or, oh, I'm not going to watch your kids then, or, fill in the blank. There's always, maybe a follow-up to that. So, yes, that is a possibility. So what, if you're worried about one of those potentials happening, do you have a plan in place for that? I had somebody talking about, well, maybe they'll take, they won't watch my kids anymore because this family member maybe watches their kids, and it's, what if they threaten that? Well, then before you maybe are willing to set your boundary, maybe you go make sure you have a backup plan in the event that they decide to pull that card and say, well, I'm not going to watch your kids. You're like, okay, cool, right? Don't worry about it. I got somebody else lined up, right? Because you have the, that plan in place in the event that happens. The likelihood, I don't know, it's hard to say. It depends on the family members. Sometimes it's like threats that they make, but they're never serious. Sometimes that they really are serious and are probably going to do it. So I just recommend, being prepared in the event that happens. And I know sometimes that's hard because the event, the thing that could happen is they don't want to talk to you again. And I know I've been through, similar things, and it hurts. It's a grieving process you have to go through, but you also have to be willing to put yourself first. And if something is happening that is hurting you, damaging your relationship, damaging your physical, mental health, or that of your, immediate family, maybe your spouse, your kids, then maybe you need to set that boundary, and you need to have that distance from that person, even if it is someone really close to you. I'm not saying that would be an easy decision. So that's when people make tough decisions, like setting a boundary that is maybe more of a compromise. Like, well, I still want to have a relationship with my mom, but I don't want to not ever see her again. So I'm willing to put up with X to get Y, right? So a boundary is really up to you. There's no necessarily right or wrong way to do it. If you feel like you want to talk it through with somebody, I'm a therapist, and I am seeing new clients. So if you're in Ohio and you are in the Dublin area and you'd like to come see me, we could definitely work together. You could talk to a family member, you could talk to a friend, you could talk to a colleague, you could talk to anybody and kind of run it by them. Like, am I being too harsh? Do you think this is a good idea? Ultimately, I don't think anybody wants to cut anybody off. That's not usually my first recommendation. Is, is there something we can do about it? But really, you got to protect you for whatever that means. And sometimes that can create, an even more difficult situation. So, I'm not here to say that it's easy or that you should or shouldn't do something specific. But when it comes to the holidays, you pick your battles, right? So pick your battles, pick your boundaries, decide what you're willing to put up with and not, and then I hope you have a wonderful holiday. For those who are maybe dealing with grief versus maybe some of those family dynamics that are not so great, think about ways that you can incorporate your family or those special people into your lives, or those even things that you're missing. So for me, if you're watching, I have this lovely Christmas sweater on, and this, to my knowledge, was my mom's sweater, and I believe it was handmade. Funny story about this sweater is I had a colleague a few years ago, and we showed up to work wearing the almost exact same sweater. It was almost because all of the shapes were the same. They were all on the sweater, but where they were placed and what was going on was different. So must have been some kind of kit that they put together and decorated their own sweater. And we had the same almost Christmas sweater. So I've had this sweater. I don't know when I acquired it, but I was made aware that this was my mom's. So I have it and I wear it at Christmas and I love it. And there's things that I have hot glued and re-hot glued onto it because they come off when I wash it. And that's okay. Maybe I'll add some of my own stuff to it. I haven't done that yet, but that's an idea. But this is one way that I remember my mom on Christmas and during the holiday season, because I know this was hers, and now it's mine. And maybe this will just be something that I'll pass down. It'll just be one of those ugly Christmas sweater pass downs. I'm a sucker for an ugly Christmas sweater. If you have watched some of my other recent podcasts, I was probably wearing them for at least the last two. And I have a bunch to wear and get through. And so, I don't know. I just love them. I wear them all the time, especially during the holidays. Maybe some of you out there love them as much as I do. So find something, right? It could be something you wear, something you do, a picture, an event, or some kind of activity that reminds you of that person. All of those things are great, you know, and if you are sad, that's okay. If you're happy, that's okay. Oftentimes people feel like maybe they have to be sad. You don't have to be sad. You can be happy. You can have a good time on the holidays and still miss your person. You can remember the good times. You don't have to feel guilty about being happy. You know, I can't say that they would want you to be happy. I don't know. We hope that they would, but ultimately you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to have fun. And there's nothing wrong with that and missing your person as well. So for whatever holiday you're celebrating, if there are any family traditions or anything that, you know, helps you to remember them, I recommend you do that. And sometimes that means just taking some time for yourself. That's okay too. If you need to take time and you need to be alone, or you need to have an exit strategy for a family event just because of maybe your grief, maybe you know, will plan to make it for an hour and then maybe you only make it a half hour. That's okay. Right? Maybe you try to plan to bring your own car so that if you need to leave, you're not trapped. Or if you are trapped, maybe you can arrange with the person, you know, to have a room or a place to go to where there's no questions asked. Like, if I just need to leave, can I go to your bedroom? Can I go to this room? You know, and take a break for a while if I need to. I mean, that's okay too. Advocating for yourself is important, even when you're grieving. And oftentimes the people around you don't want to upset you, so they maybe won't talk about your person, or they won't bring things up because they don't want you to like make you think about it more. But what they usually don't realize is that you're already thinking about it. So you're not bringing it up and making them think about it any more than they already were. And so oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes people who are grieving want to hear about their loved one. They want to talk about it. They want to you know, hear the stories. And so you holding back and not talking about it may actually cause them to feel worse. So I'd say it's okay to ask. It's also, you as a griever, it's okay to tell them what you want. Like, please talk about my loved one. Or no, I'd actually prefer we not today. It's, you know, it can't hurt to ask or tell people what you're hoping for, because that's mostly what people want around you, is they want to help you to feel better. And if they can do whatever that is, they're probably willing to do it. They might just need a little instruction. Well, I wasn't planning to talk a whole lot today, so I'm thankful that you joined me today, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Merry Happy anything else that you are celebrating this holiday season, and a Happy New Year. I will see you next year.